Welcome to UpWell The Podcast. I'm Sarah, and this is my beautiful co-host, Katie. As fellow female entrepreneurs turned friends and now business partners, we are so happy you're here.
With every episode, it is our sole purpose to share authentic conversations to inspire your personal level up. Take our curiosity, add your best intentions, and flow with us in the UpWell.
Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of UpWell The Podcast.
You just sounded like an 80s sitcom. And I love it. I love everything about it.
Welcome back.
That's great. That's great.
I'm Sarah,
I'm Katie.
stuck in the 80s.
It's all right.
We're playing with our intro, everyone, so bear with us.
Yeah. Hi.
We're working on it.
Oh, goodness. So
We survived 2023.
we did.
Mhm.
Our first full year of recording.
Yes.
Because we recorded our first episode on New Year's Eve of 2022. And
Crazy.
so we've been recording for over a year now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Go back and watch the pilot if you haven't, because we were both on our floors in our houses recording via Zoom. So now we've got a cool studio and
I had
microphones.
101 temp for that first episode.
Oh, I forgot you were sick.
I was so sick. Yeah.
Well, you looked great, I thought.
I was very nervous, but I think it ended up being a good first episode.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is we're kind of recapping the same topic as we did that very first episode, because this one will be airing right after the new year. And I think we can kind of go back over.
It's going to probably more recap our New Year's Level Up episode that we did.
That was episode 2, huh?
Which was,
3?
I believe, episode 3 that it was.
I'll watch our own show. I will
She
watch
promises.
our
She
own
promises.
show. But yeah, so I want to first hear from you how you feel like your 2023 word ended up playing out. What was your word, first of all?
For 2023, my word was effort.
And
Yeah.
how do you feel like that was applied to everything in your life? Your 2023 was very effortful. I don't know if that's a word, but it was full of effort on Katie's part.
Yeah. I had some major life changes happen in 2023. And I think the word effort came into play more, not only in my own life, but in the effort that other people were showing. And then me choosing whether or not to keep that person or people in my life. Because I eliminated lots of people.
You did a lot of sifting.
I did.
This was a year, this past year was a lot of sifting for you, where you really had to get, I like the word clarity. That's kind of what comes to mind when you were having to make all these adjustments and shifts in your life. You really had to determine and be very clear on what you wanted on, in the next step or whatever. So I saw a lot of that for you.
Yeah. And so some big things that I ended up doing, one was moving. I now live an hour away from where I used to live, and I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, which took a lot of effort to understand what living like that is like, because I went from a very suburban area to then being in a very isolated area. At first I loved it, and then I went through a period of very much hating it and feeling very lonely and having to understand what that meant for me, and then ultimately shifting into acceptance of, this is where I'm at right now. Everything in life is temporary.
Oh, 100%.
And so accepting and putting in the effort to make the most of my situation and where I'm at.
Yeah,
So,
not only the physical effort, but also like the mental, emotional effort, and it really did come full circle in a good way. It might have been hard. And that's why I like the word effort, because in the beginning of the year, you had one expectation for the word.
Oh.
And it turned into something completely different.
Completely that I
But it was
never
still
envisioned.
100% fitting for what your year was.
It looked like. Yes. Yes. What was your word?
Authentic.
Okay.
And when I chose that word, I also chose it because I had kind of one idea of what that meant to me. And it was very aligned with everything that we were doing, you know, like just having authentic conversations, showing up as my most authentic self in my relationships, you know, not since I have started my own business, you know, in the past couple of years, I felt like I was really conforming in a lot of different ways, you know, whether that was to the people on the internet, you know, looking for external things of how I could improve myself based on what someone else was doing, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So authentic to me really just meant showing up as me and the best that I can be without comparison, you know, to other people. But then it really opened up a lot of opportunities for me this year. So I was really excited to kind of reflect back on the word authentic because, like I said, in the beginning of the year, it meant one thing. And then as the year progressed, I feel like being authentic is what attracted so many of the opportunities that I did not see coming this year. You know, it was things that were way in left field for me, you know, that I didn't really think and I never really imagined, you know, I never really put any thought into some of the things that
they weren't on your vision board.
Yeah, not at all. And so it's exciting to me this year. I feel a lot of excitement going into 2024 because now it's kind of a different playing field, if that makes sense. It's a different trajectory than I was on in some ways, not all of it. You know, my relationships are very similar. Even my own entrepreneurial, you know, endeavors are similar, but I'm going in a few different directions that I didn't anticipate originally. So it's kind of, it's exciting. You know, it's not scary anymore. It's kind of like, this is an adventure now, and I'm going to just lean into it as my most authentic self. I'm going to carry that energy with me into the new year and use it with my new word.
What is your new word?
My new word is elevate. And I
we were talking about what your words were, and I don't know that I knew what your word was.
Well, I had another word chosen for a while, and it was simplify. But the more I thought about it, I kind of envisioned what I want to do this year in all aspects of my life, like a hot air balloon. Bear with me. Bear with me.
I love
everyone.
it. I love the correlation.
Because to me, elevating, taking my life to the next level in whether that's career, finances, my personal relationships, anything else I want to do. If I want to take it up to the next level, physically, health-wise, I have to simplify. And it's like, how do you get a hot air balloon to lift off? You have to let things go. You have to reduce and remove things. So that's kind of my quarter one, if you will, like the beginning of this year is really gaining clarity, going back to that word and just simplifying things, getting rid of stuff that's holding me back or going to stand in my way or weigh me down. And I'm just getting rid of it, simplifying, like purging a lot, you know, whether that's crap I've saved in my phone, you know, or stuff, literal physical stuff in my office or my closet. And then, you know, some of it's emotional and mental baggage and stuff that is unseen, but can keep me stuck. So that's my word, elevate. What's yours? I know we talked about yours, and yours is actually really exciting to me.
My 2024 word is grit.
I love it. Tell me more.
So grit is for me putting forth, kind of carrying over effort into 2024, but in a different manner. Putting forth the effort, persistence, passion, flow, mindset, determination to pursue different specific goals that I have for myself. I have some physical goals. I have some mental goals. I have some career goals, some spiritual goals, you know, and so on and so forth. I even wrote them out because I'm a list maker.
She is a list maker.
But grit is definitely the word that I felt kind of encompassed everything that I am envisioning. And like we just talked about, what I envision and what the year holds are probably going to end up being two very, very different things. But I have, you know, 4 physical goals, 1 for each quarter of the year. I'm not going to share them now. I'll share them as I complete them. But I really want to step outside of my comfort zone and see how that feels for me.
And that to me is grit, because it grit, like if I had to define what that meant, is a continuation and perseverance, which is so perfect for you to go from your word last year to this year. You know, it's just such a seamless transition for everything that you've done and what you want to do this year. It just plays off of it perfectly.
Yeah. To me, having grit is passion and perseverance, the combining the two together and patience. And, yeah. And combining the piece together and three peas in a pod,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how I can push myself. Let's throw in a fourth pea.
Yeah.
Anything else? To really, in a sense, almost elevate,
Mm-hmm.
myself, to do things that I have always wanted to do. I have, some physical goals on there and some career goals on there that have been just a thought in my head.
Yeah.
And they've been a thought in my head, in my eyes, for too long.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a thought for too long, where now I'm in a position where I have the freedom to really pursue anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
Let's throw a fifth P in there.
Pursuit,
So
yeah.
that's my objective with how I envision the word grit, is really just, like I said, I'm in a place right now where nothing is really stopping me from pursuing any dream that I have.
Well, and I think I want to go back to what you said about, things that people think about for a long time, because I think we're all guilty of that. We want to start this, or, we want to get healthy. We want to, whatever. We want to travel more. We want to make more money. We want to excel in our career. And this is just a conversation that I've had with a lot of my clients lately. Most of our goals are outcome-based and not action-based. So I like your word, both last year and this year, because it correlates with the action that you have to take, not the outcome you're desiring. The most basic example is people come to either one of us and say, I want to lose weight. Well, that's an outcome. That's your end result. That's what you want. How are you going to get there? Give me the goals that you're going to have to stick to, the actions that you have to persevere in, that you have to continue over and over, that will create that outcome for you. And that's why I like choosing a power word versus setting a New Year's resolution, right? Because the New Year's resolution is, I want to get in shape. Well, that's great, but how are you going to do it? What word, what do you have to do repeatedly over and over to get the outcome that you want?
Because mine, people come to me not necessarily to want to get in shape anymore, because I'm no longer in the personal training field, but with what I do, they want to feel better. I want to feel better. And yes, I can do something for them, but I can only go so far. Just kind of like you can only go so far. You can give them the tools. And granted, I'm more hands-on. I actually do something for them physically to help them feel better. But I am not a magic source of snapping my fingers and poof, you feel better, or poof, you've lost the weight, or you name it. It's what you're going to do. What changes are you going to make in your life in order to reach that outcome?
Yep.
Because nobody's going to do that for you other than you.
And that, to me, one of the things I say all the time is, you have to set your own personal standards of excellence. You have to decide what you're committing to. What is your level of self-discipline? These are the actions, the habits, the routines that I have to commit to create the outcome that I desire. And it's not having someone train me at the gym once a week or get a massage once a month. It's the things that you do day in and day out. And then those things are in addition to, they're a supplement. They improve, they make things better, but it's always, the actions that you have to take on a repeated basis, to make the difference.
And they're going to make you uncomfortable.
Oh, 100%.
They're changes that are going to be uncomfortable.
Change is uncomfortable.
Change doesn't always have to be uncomfortable, but most of the time change is uncomfortable, even if it's good change. But you have to make that change. You have to put your mindset into making the commitment to live in a way that you, in a sense, you've already achieved that outcome goal. So if you start living that now, you're already 1,000 steps ahead of where you were yesterday. If you are like, no, I'm living healthy, and if you continue to wake up every morning and I feel good today, I am healthy today, you'll live that way, and you'll continue to live that way. And then ultimately, before you know it, your outcome will be your life and your reality.
That's exactly it. And it shows the power of mindset too, because I know the actions you have to follow through on those actions, but you really do have to believe you are that person. So if you choose an outcome that you want, you have to look at, how would that person live their life? If I want to be a healthy, fit individual, what actions do I have to take? What is my lifestyle like? And how can I apply that? You know, so it's like you have to look at the outcome, but then you have to backtrack from that and you have to decide who I have to become, who do I have to be, who do I have to encompass, you know, to get there.
And I think a great trick or tip that you can do with this is if you pick an action word for the year, write it out, hang it somewhere where you see it daily, and then write yourself a mantra of I am whatever. I am healthy. I am happy. I am, you know, whatever it may be. Read that out loud. Say it out loud multiple times when you see your word with that mantra. Speak it, because what you speak is what you become. So for so many people that are like, oh, I'm old, oh, I'm fat, oh, I'm out of shape, oh, you know, one of the phrases I hate the most is
I'm broke.
it's hell to get old.
Oh, I know.
That phrase it infuriates me, because I'm like, you're setting a self limitation. You're doing it. Nobody else is. It doesn't have to be hell to get old. I've actually enjoyed getting older.
Same.
I have enjoyed moving through my 30s, and now that I'm 40 and going to be 41 in a couple of months, like I have enjoyed the process of getting older and what I've learned and what I've experienced and what I've seen and what I can teach others has been huge for me. So really what you speak, you become. So if you pick a power word, then come up with a I am phrase, say it daily. The manifestation power of that will become your reality.
I even think taking it one step further and adding to that phrase what your word will give you. You know, so instead of just saying I am healthy, you can say my health allows me to be there better for my family. My health saves me money on prescriptions, you know, and put it into context in your life. You know,
so like if health is your word, that's a great thing.
And even with grit, you know, my grit will help me reach this goal, you know, and whatever it is, because then the more real you can make it and attach it to actual things that you're doing in your life, the more powerful it is, you know. It just gives it more juice, more sauce.
Oh, make it saucy.
More sauce.
Make it saucy.
I don't know where that
give it a little spice, make it saucy.
I do want to say though, if you've never chosen a power word and you're one of those people that sets goals or New Year's resolutions or whatever, and you don't necessarily know what we're talking about when it comes to choosing a power word, I'm going to link one blog post that I wrote back in 2020, actually, when the world shut down. I was like, I'm going to teach people how to reach their goals this year. But anyway, it's just a helpful kind of resource and outline on how to identify what your word, I don't want to say should be, but the most impactful kind of intention for the year, I guess, by choosing your word. So we'll link that in the show notes so you guys can check it out if you're struggling with choosing a word, or even how to use your word. You know, I feel like we just did a great job describing how to utilize a power word. But
I also want to throw in there though, and we've talked about this in just one of our previous episodes when we had Sarah Kirby on, about winter is a time to kind of rest, reset, focus, and plan. So don't beat yourself up too much if you really don't put into action your word until the spring. Spring is the time of year where it's like birth, it's growth, it is, you know, revival. So
this is the preparatory phase.
This is the preparatory phase of kind of moving into, you know, starting the action or starting. You can start now. Absolutely. I'm not saying not to, but if life right now is not conducive and you're like, I'm just trying to survive. Trust me, I've been there. You know, think of it as by spring, I'm really gonna, you know, do this, or by the 1st of March, I'm really going to do this. You know,
I think as long as you have a plan for that, you won't feel like a failure, because I think that's where people feel like they fall off or they fail their New Year's resolution is because they don't have a specific idea. They don't have a specific plan. And if your plan is to, you know what, I'm just going to focus on eating more vegetables for January. I'm not going to focus on losing 30 pounds or whatever, you know, how can you put a plan into place where you don't feel like you failed your resolution? You know, what small things can you do now that aren't necessarily the birth of what you want to do in 2024, but putting the steps into place where you're going to feel successful once spring and summer roll around, where you feel like you've got a good idea and a good outline of the path that you need to take.
Right. Yeah. Moving in that direction, and, like taking this time to just think about it and think about what you really want, because majority of people, so many people set resolutions, and majority of people, they fail. It is. That's unfortunately the reality. But you have 11 more first days of the month.
Agreed.
That can be your year marker. You can use your birthday. You can use, the first day of spring. You can use the equinoxes. You can use whatever as your starting point to
every day
begin.
Is a new day.
Every day is a beginning day for, So don't get discouraged if January ends up being a shit show and you just are surviving.
Well, and I think something powerful I share with a lot of people, especially because winter is a more difficult time to like start something. If your goal this year is to walk more to lose weight, it's really hard if you live in the Midwest to convince yourself to go out for a nice long walk on a 12-degree day. So, instead of looking at all the things you have to add to try to reach your goals, start looking at the things you can reduce. Maybe it's you don't buy the Oreos and the Doritos when you go to the grocery store this month. Start looking at what you can remove. Can you clear out clutter? Can you get rid of things that are keeping you from your goals? Maybe it's less of I have to do all these things to reach my goals. Maybe it's looking at I have to do less of these things because they've kept me stuck. So that's just another kind of angle to look at it, where if you don't want to push in the new year, if you don't want to force new things, like what can you do less of? What can you remove? What's holding you? What's held you back in the past? And how can you get rid of some of that? Cut some of the cords.
One of my favorite phrases, or a favorite phrase, is more is not always more, but less is always,
less is more.
Less is more, sort of thing. So it's, like you said, removing things, whether that's clearing out your email inbox, deleting old voicemails, deleting old text messages, deleting old pictures, like you were talking about, removing that stuff from your phone. And it's how cleansing that can be, just 100%. To kind of start to unclutter your space.
And even, a couple of years ago, when one of my bigger goals was I had gained weight back a significant amount. And one of the things I did in January is I removed things. It was, okay, what in my mind really did make me gain weight over the past couple months? Well, I always have a bag of chocolate chips in my fridge. Maybe I shouldn't do that. So it's like small, it doesn't have to be giant things, but if you have that awareness around the things that have held you back in the past, and you feel like you're constantly chasing a lot of the same goals or resolutions, like just start getting rid of it, start purging, start looking at what those things are and what the amount of control that you have over them. Because it's usually a lot more than you do versus trying to add new things, right?
Yeah. The control over removing things is a lot higher than adding things.
For sure.
Because there's always going to be things that are going to kind of come and muck things up.
And usually it's more exciting to remove things than it is to like, here we go, let's add something hard to my life when I don't want to.
And honestly, since moving to the farm, I have found how little I need to live. It's been wild.
She means how little things she needs to live. You made it sound like.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
She doesn't want to live anymore.
No, how few things that I need to.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, you knew what I meant.
Yeah.
But
Marie Kondo.
I didn't even Marie Kondo shit. I just literally I have just come to realize I don't need a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot of stuff, and I'm finding that, except my books. My books, I still have.
I know. I have a lot, and I will not give them up.
I can't give up my books.
I'm the same way.
The printed word, I have a hard time parting with that. But
I will have three outfits before I get rid of any books. I would get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Without getting rid of my books.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm realizing the wacky kitchen utensils, or for the longest time I had one fork, one knife, a bowl, bowl, and one cup.
Serves the purpose.
It serves the purpose. And I mean, I did find during, the sales and everything, I did find a 4-piece like dinner plate.
Now I can go eat with her.
For a little, bowl thing.
And bring a friend.
But it was 4 big plates, 4 little plates, and four bowls. And original price was like $60, and I got it for $15. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get this
I'm
because if I do ever want to have, I'm not wild about people in my space.
Yeah.
I'm, like you're the opposite. You're like, hey, come over.
I know. Door's always open.
Yeah. And I usually just walk in. But for me, I'm not big on people in my space, but I'm like, if I decide to have people over, I can feed them.
Or not have to wash a dish right after you eat it.
Exactly.
Eat with it.
But that's been another thing. It's like having so few things, like doing dishes takes 90 seconds because I don't have a lot of stuff.
And that's, going full circle. That's one of the reasons that Simplify was so big for me this year is I really do want to focus on being more minimalistic because I know it keeps doing that. And that's okay. But I just think that minimalism lifestyle is the direction that most of us need to go to feel better, to feel lighter, in a lot of ways. So just food for thought, everybody.
Food for thought. Less is more.
Yep, I agree.
Less is more.
Well,
awesome.
That was so fun. I love just talking with Katie. I know I obviously love having guests, but this was fun.
Yeah, sometimes having just the two of us to shoot the shit is kind of a nice little
girl talk.
We do have some guests coming up we're excited about, and some really fun episodes that will be released soon. So yeah, make sure you follow along on all of the places on social media and be on the lookout. We are going to have a website here before too long.
Woo-hoo. Moving on up
in the world. So you can find all of that at UpWell The Podcast. You can find myself personally at barefoot.katie. You can find Sarah at Sarah Behrens. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take care of the world around you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.